if we're going to go back to the original point that you made with the Scousers, judging just this window, I still think it's a decent one.
Do you?
Ask him about City more, go on.
No, I can't. I think
just cheating.
Hello and welcome to Stretford Paddock. This is Off the Bar, brought to you once again by Green King Sport. Thank you very much to them for sponsoring the show. Today we are going to be ranking the European teams in England's transfer window. So everyone that's in Europe, we're going to be going through and deciding who's had the best window, and Newcastle. Because they didn't get European football. In case you've forgotten, United knocked them out of the European spots when we won the FA Cup. So we're going to be going through Liverpool, City, United, Chelsea, Spurs, Arsenal, Villa and Newcastle's transfer window so far. Let's be honest, they're pretty much done at this point. And ranking who's had the best to worst window. It's that simple, Jay.
Yeah, I love it.
How are you?
I'm good, man. This is what I like to do. I prefer transfers to football.
Yeah.
So, and we've had a busy transfer window. I'm not even bothered about the quality of the transfers we get as well. I just want lots of them.
You're a numbers guy, aren't you?
Yeah, I just love it. That day when we brought in like Diallo, Tellez, Palestri, Cavani, that's probably the best day in United's history for me.
Probably the best day of your life. Adam McKola, how are you doing?
What's happening? You alright?
Yeah, very well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm looking forward to the weekend game,
Yeah. Well,
I'm nervous for it now.
Speaking of the weekend game,
we'll do that.
It's teetering on an edge, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's teetering one way. If you lose, oh my God, don't even want to think about that.
We won't.
But if we win, 21 truly is coming.
That's factual.
That is factual. But speaking of the weekend's game, let's start with Liverpool then. Let's look at their ins and outs so far in this window. In terms of ins, you've got Maradashvili.
Why were we linked with him, by the way?
45
That's the most biggest pile of nonsense ever, where it was like, oh, Liverpool and United are going toe for Valencia's goalkeeper, but we're not though, are we?
No.
We've got no interest in buying another goalkeeper.
Isn't he going out on loan as well?
Potentially.
Yeah, well, Alisson Becker's not getting dropped,
because
is
they've got Alisson. But this signing, because if you look at Liverpool at the moment, I think it's a good signing, as he's a good goalkeeper.
He's only young,
and we saw it in the Euros, but he's coming in, So that to me tells me defo Alisson's off next year.
Yeah.
Because he was close to leaving this summer, wasn't he? He was linked with a move away this summer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he didn't, he stayed. So that tells me they're preparing for his departure. You also look at Liverpool, they won their first two games and everything seems rosy. But in the midst of that, Trent's been throwing a little hissy fit. Yeah. He's got 1 year left on his deal. He's possibly leaving, going to Real Madrid maybe. Everyone thought Trent was going to tempt Jude Bellingham to Liverpool when it's flipped on its head, how the turntables turn.
I know.
And you just look over there, Mo Salah's got a year left on his contract linked with a big money move to Saudi Arabia. Van Dijk's got 1 year left on his deal.
Yeah.
There's a possibility they don't keep, or they lose 3 or 4 of those players.
Of the big names that have been successful for him. And
that could be a tricky situation for them, which I'm all for.
Yeah, I mean, the other player to mention is Chiesa, which the deal isn't done yet, but the deal's agreed, around 13 million euros, which is a good fee for
It's
any
a good
player.
fee for him, but he has been injury prone. Like, I've seen United fans going mental about it. And I kind of get it, it's a good deal, and you feel like if United were involved, it would have been 25 million, 30 million or something. But at the same time, if we signed Chiesa, people were going, we're signing an injury-prone player. This is typical.
You made that point, didn't you? Because I looked at it and I was like, okay, why didn't we go for that if we were going to get rid of Sancho to Juve or whatever? But you were like, nah, look at his injury record, it ain't great.
And his numbers aren't great.
No.
He had a good season 3 years ago, and ever since he's had underwhelming seasons.
He was massively highly rated, I think, when Italy won the
Euros. He was brilliant, and he's pacey, and he's got that sort of electric energy about him where he just knocks it and he's gone and he puts the ball in the back of the net. But that's him at his best, which we've not seen for 3 years.
But I do think it's a good signing because their backup to Salah was Bendover, so having him as a backup is a bit better, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's Bendover and it's Mike Oxlong on the left, isn't it? Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Bendover and Mike Oxlong? You're just being crass.
No.
Right.
So Chiesa coming in for around 30 million euros. In terms of outs, Sepp van der Berg's gone to Brentford for around 23 million euros, and Fabio Carvalho has also gone to Brentford for around 23 million euros as well. So they've made a couple of big sales, but other than that, Adrian's gone on a free transfer. I mean, other than that, it's been relatively small. Go on.
Scroll up again. How come Fabio Carvalho's in and out?
Because he's come back. He was on loan at Hull. And he's come back.
So his loan's ended.
So he dropped them.
He dropped him.
So they've made about 47 million euros worth of income and spent about 40 million euros worth of outgoing. So
Marcelo Portigala's the one though, isn't it?
Like small small amount of deals being. It's a relatively concise window for Liverpool.
But do you know what it is, right, with Liverpool as well? Last season, they bought like a load of midfielders, didn't they?
Yeah.
They signed like 4 midfielders last season. So they've had like, over the last 12, 13 months, they have had a busy period. And also, there's this thing of like, oh, well, we're waiting for Salah to decline or to retire or whatever. We're waiting for Van Dijk to lose his mojo. They've still got a decent team, unfortunately. It's not like they need massive surgery.
In terms
They need
of
that number 6 though, don't they? I think soon there's going to be a huge bidding war for Adam Wharton.
Massively.
Like everyone's going to want him, I think.
He's the next guy in here on the list for everyone.
They do need. Obviously, Gravenberch has started quite well for them in midfield. Will that last? Is he the long-term suitor to that position? I'm not sure. They play McAllister there.
Endo as well, obviously.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They've got like new signings,
yeah,
sort of relatively new. So they've got players there.
They're playing Endo there.
I
can't be buzzing with that.
I think as a transfer window, this is absolutely shit, by the way.
No, as a transfer window, you're right.
Utter
It's
garbage.
very Fellaini.
It's awful. They've got a backup goalkeeper who's not even playing for him, and they've got an injury-prone winger for 10 million quid.
David Moyes.
This is shit.
It's David Moyes.
Yeah, they've literally completely stagnated. They haven't improved whatsoever. I don't think the squad has even particularly improved. I mean, they might bring a couple of people in late on. I don't know if they're going to go for someone surprising. But if it stays like this, I think this is a garbage.
But it's like
window.
Jay says, though, they did have a good squad.
They did.
Like,
I'm not knocking the squad.
But pretty
this
decent.
is horrendous, isn't it? This
as
is
a window,
horrendous.
if we forget everything else and we just focus on this window, as a window, it's poor.
Yeah.
Of course it is. It's no disrespect to the kids. Lee Grant tackle, innit? So we've got a reserve.
Also, they brought a keeper in who's gone.
Yeah, he's on loan.
Whilst they've signed him.
Doesn't matter how good he is, he ain't there.
So basically, you've done nothing.
No.
In
got
this window.
Chiesa.
Okay, you've just pointed out he's injury prone and not that good.
Let's move on to Manchester City then, talking about massively underwhelming windows for me anyway. We'll get onto that. Man City brought in early in the window Savinho, who obviously
How did they manage to get that deal?
I know,
that's
it's
a right coup for them, that, isn't it?
From Troy's.
Wow. Well done there.
He was Troy's record transfer when they bought him.
Yeah, and did he even play for them?
He didn't play a single game for them.
And they got relegated.
He went on loan to PSV.
Yeah.
Then he went on loan to Girona last season. Has never played for the club that made him their most expensive ever player. He has then been sold to Man City for around 30 million euros.
Also, it's like his market value on these websites like Transfermarkt is 50 million and their fee was 25.
Yeah.
It's like you're not even trying to make it look.
Absolutely nothing to see here whatsoever.
Electric
all
winger.
above board and legitimate.
Yeah.
Well done
good,
to
though.
Manchester City again for being so savvy in finding this gem.
He's good though.
I know he
looks
is.
exactly like Riyad Mahrez.
He does look good. That's annoying. That's the annoying thing.
Mahrez is class.
Mahrez was very good. He's a good-looking player. He plays well and all. And it's obviously a deal that has been massively greased by the fact that they own both of these clubs. This deal couldn't have possibly been done for the fee that it was without City owning both teams. It's literally passing this player from one hand to the other.
Yeah, it is.
Like let's not.
But doing this like in the process.
Yeah, like one of them where you go da, 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 and you'd open it and it was in the hand that it was in
Where's
to
it gone?
start with.
Oh, it's behind. Pep's ear.
Pep, look behind your ear. You're joking? 20-year-old Brazilian wonder kid for what? 25 million euros? Brilliant! The other transfer that they've made is Ilkay Gundogan on a free transfer back from Barcelona. Jay, what's your thoughts on this deal?
I think that's a great signing for them. I think Gundogan, I didn't watch a lot of Barcelona, but Barcelona fans and those that write about Barcelona that I follow were saying he was one of their best players last season. Obviously, you know what he's done in the Premier League. We know what he's done for Manchester City in the past. He's one of those players that pops up with a lot of goals when you need him in these short spaces. He'll score like 7 in 10 games or whatever, and they'll win all those games. I think, and it's got them all buzzing on it. They haven't got, a long history of legends, but he's someone they consider a legend, so they're all buzzing about it.
He's a good player.
He's a good player.
I think as well, they didn't want him to leave.
No.
Like if they wanted to sell him and then they bring him back, you go, ooh,
yeah,
it's a bit weird. But they didn't want him to leave, like he wanted to leave, so I think that's an amazing... I wanted them not to want him and us to want him. I really wanted
Your mate didn't shut up about him, did he?
Scholesy.
Oh my God. Every answer was Gundogan. And I was like, I get it, but we ain't ever going to get him. So you may as well say we need a prime Paul Scholes. You don't rate this, do you?
No, I think Gundogan going back to City is an embarrassment. I think it's the beginning of the end of Man City.
I think it shows it's the end of Pep.
It's the end of Man City. This.
What are you two on about?
Because you know
This is
what?
a disgrace.
Pep's going.
This is a disgrace.
I've got 1 year left.
Yeah.
I may as well just bring in someone I know. I don't need to blood a youngster.
Right,
I don't need to bring in someone else.
Show me the last time Man City brought in a 33-year-old on transfer. I know he's
like
not.
Scott
I know
Carson.
he's not any 33-year-old. I get that. He was the club captain 2 years ago, but he went, and I know he wanted to leave, etc., etc. He left as a 32-year-old. We move on now. Man City moves on now, and instead of moving on, not only have you not moved on, you've replaced him with Kovacic, who is a backward step. All of a sudden now you're bringing him back in.
Yeah.
I think that's horrendous. It's so un-Man City that it fills me with a lot of confidence, that deal. Bringing a 33-year-old back in because you couldn't replace him. You can't replace a 32-year-old Ilkay Gundogan. I think that's embarrassing. I think that's a terrible transfer.
I wish you were right. I wish I agreed
really
with you.
do.
And I hope you are right. I don't see it. I think it's an absolute no-brainer. You can get him for, how much was he? Is he free or?
Free transfer.
Free transfer. A player that is Premier League proven. He's got a big personality. The fans all love him. Pep obviously knows and likes him, like Mac was saying. Didn't want to let him go. 2 points for that man as well. I think he got it right with the Scott Carson deal.
But when's the last time they brought in a 33-year-old that wasn't a backup goalkeeper?
I know, you do.
When's the last time they brought in a 33-year-old from Germany?
You can have them all listed at once. You don't have to go through year click. You can get them all up at once and scroll through.
I understand, but I think there's exceptions in there. There's an exceptional case. This is an exceptional case. This is a player who's still got a lot to offer. In a position they need a player like that.
When you say he's still got a lot to offer, what do you mean? Like, he might be all right this season? Or do you think
he's
2
good
or
for them
3
this
years,
season. Not
4 years?
But short term, it's a very good signing for them. You looked at them as well against Chelsea. I know they won the game 2-0.
Yeah.
And Kovacic scored, but you looked at their midfield and you thought you can get at this midfield without Rodri. I think if you stick Gundogan in there when Rodri's out, it's like, oh.
But why are Man City thinking short term? If the fact that Man City are thinking short term is an embarrassment. So Sami Nasri was 30, right? Other than that, this is the not other than that, including that, this is the oldest outfield player.
And that was
What about how old was Sanya when he bought him?
33. This is the oldest outfield player that Pep has signed since he got to Man City. I think that's a concern for me, and not a concern in a bad way. I'd be concerned if I was a City fan. I think this is great for Man United. This. He's a good player. He might be all right short term.
Great for Arsenal.
But I think this means...
I think, I wish I shared your sort of opposite. I don't think this makes any difference to Manchester United whatsoever.
No, you are right. It does make a difference. We'll win.
In terms of outs then, they've sold Taylor Harwood-Bellis for €23 million.
Yeah, of course they have. Of course they've got $20 million for a player you've probably never heard of.
A 22-year-old centre-back who doesn't exist, obviously.
Yeah.
He's just a number on a screen.
Them and Liverpool do this all the time. They just invent players and get $20 million for them.
Like when they did it with James Trafford.
Because they don't pay them stupid wages like us dicks.
João Cancelo's gone to Al Hilal for €25 million. Let me just one sec. And Julian Alvarez has gone to Atletico Madrid for €75 million
What
as well.
is going on?
What?
I'm just sick of it.
What?
Like Alvarez, he just got loads of money for him. So the suite with PSR now, not that really matters because they break all the rules anyway. Plus they sell a load of kids and players they don't need for decent money. So they've got a load of money they can spend if they need to. They're all above board or seemingly above board for them with profit and sustainability. It's just a stitch up in it. And then they go and get players from clubs they already own for now.
We're pleased to announce that once again, Off the Bar is sponsored by Green King Sport, where football is more than a game.
And it doesn't get much bigger than this Sunday's game versus Liverpool. That's one of those fixtures. As soon as the fixture list comes out, I'm looking when United play Liverpool. And if you haven't got a ticket to the game, do the next best thing. Go and get your mates and check out all of the action at your local Green King Sport pub.
If you use the Green King Sport app, you'll be able to find your nearest pub and get 10% off your drinks for the entire game. If you've not signed up before, you'll even get a free pint on the house.
And we've also linked the Green King Sport app in the description, so go in there, check it out, and thank you once again to Green King Sport. They've made €160 million in sales.
Of course they have.
Spent only around €25 million in
it's just horrible, isn't it? Can't the Premier League or whatever it is get the finger out and just punish him for these 115 charges?
Stick your finger up.
Do you think they've had a good window, Jay, just as an overall before we move on to Manchester United?
You have to look at where they're at and what they need, and I think they've had a very good window.
Do you?
Yeah, because they've got a big chunk of money for someone who's not even a first-team player. Potentially, but that Cyborg, for them, don't get injured, does he? He used to at Dortmund, but he does. And also, they'll just play without a striker. And they'll get away with it. They'll play like Foden as a false nine or whatever, and it'll work for them. It just will.
And I understand your sort of anger and sort of frustration.
I am angry. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be.
To me, selling your backup striker, who you know is capable of getting you 25 goals a season, and not replacing him, and bringing in a 33-year-old midfielder who left a year ago. I think Savinho's a good signing, and I think Gundogan will probably do well this season. But that's a weird transfer.
It is. I completely agree with what you said. I just think the thing with City, and to a lesser degree Liverpool, is you look at the amount of actual world-class players they've got. That makes a difference. Because, yes, your squad or whatever, your team, you need to have these players come in. But they've still got so many match winners in that team and so many completely and utterly reliable defenders that give you 8 out of 10 almost every single game.
Yeah.
That it pains me to say it because I fucking hate City. And I'm almost at the point where I hate them more than the Scousers, and that's saying something. But I just don't see them faltering. I don't look at it and go, oh, this. I see
this year.
You're saying this is the beginning and the end, and I hope to God you're right.
I mean, longer term.
Yeah, I just don't see it. I just think. Plus, they have this conveyor belt of youngsters who, they just make up players, and all of a sudden they're mint. Like Oscar Bob, who's he always just scoring every week? What?
I think you look at Kovacic is over 30.
No, you know what I mean?
De Bruyne's over 30.
That kind of thing.
Gundogan's over 30. And
maybe I'm just jaded because I remember thinking to myself, right, when they lost Silva and Yaya Toure and Vincent Kompany and Fernandinho and Aguero, they'd be fucked. I genuinely thought that. And they just went and replaced them all with players in some cases who were better.
I thought Jay was short for Justin, not jaded.
Yeah.
But it's both. It's a grey area. We don't know. We're never sure. That's why I shortened it.
Potentially a decent window for City, but nothing spectacular there, is there?
It's not. And the difficulty is, that, like I say, they've got a strong team anyway. But if we're going to go back to the original point that you made with the Scousers, judging just this window, I still think it's a decent one.
Do you?
Ask him about City more, guy.
No, I can't. I think
it's just fucking cheating.
I think it's.
They've had a really good window, them, innit, Jay? How much profit they made? 160 million euros.
Or 115 million.
That's the real quiz.
What do you make of this window overall for City?
I think I agree with you a little bit that the Gundogan signing is a bit red flags, alarm bells ringing. But I don't think it will be a problem for them this year. I actually think it's a good signing. Not replacing Alvarez is a weird one, isn't it?
Yeah.
I do think that. I understand why they've sold him because they've made like 70 million profit on him. But yeah, I think it's a good window. They've got a good team, haven't they?
Just get away like any other team would sell Cole Palmer and miss him.
Yeah.
They sell him and it doesn't affect them whatsoever. It's just annoying.
Reminds me of United when we were good, unfortunately.
Well, speaking of United, let's move on to Manchester United next up on the list then. So in terms of ins, we've got Lenny Yoro, Matthias de Ligt, Joshua Zirkzee, Nusayr Mazraoui and Manuel Ugarte is as good as done as well, just completing his medical. That might even have been confirmed by the time this comes out. They're your major ins. In terms of outs, we've actually got some big outs for once. So we've got Mason Greenwood, of course. We've got Scott McTominay. We've got Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Willy Camboala, Hannibal Mejbri. We've got Alvaro Fernandez as well, Facundo Pellistri and Donny van de Beek. Totaling the sales of around 130 million euros and a total...
And McTominay. Did you say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't forget Scott's gone.
Who?
Scott McTominay.
Oh yeah, I should have said that. Scott McTominay as well, that I mentioned straight away at the start. They're the overalls there, Jay. We've obviously spoken about this a lot more already.
Yeah.
Just as a window generally, who we've got in, who we've got out, the money we've made. I think we spent, if we can just have a little look how much United have spent in this window, it's around 200 million euros with Manuel Ugarte and made around 130 million euros with sales. What do you make of that window?
I think, and we'll get to the ranking later, but I think we've probably had the best window out of everyone in terms of the quality of the players we brought in, where we strengthen, where we need to. The only thing for me that stops this being a 10 out of 10 window is the left-back situation. I know that you can move things around and Delo can go there and even Mazraoui can go there if you need to. We have Malacia back in training. Luke Shaw apparently is going to be fit after the international break and his laughs as it all. But I still feel like we should have got a left back. That for me, that should have been a priority. But we've brought in some quality players. I mean, like De Ligt is a mint signing.
Yeah.
All of them are really good. It's the Ligt one that I'm really chuffed about. But all of them are good signings, and I'm glad we've got all of them. So yeah, I think it's been a real positive window. And also, like you mentioned there, you've got rid of some players. I didn't want to see Wan-Bissaka go, but other than that, I think all the players you've got rid of aren't going to trouble the first team really. I know Scott McTominay was a bit of a super sub, and I get why we've moved him on because he's funding the Agata deal. So yeah, it all just makes sense, and I don't often say that about Manchester United.
What do you reckon, Adam?
I agree on the left back point. Like I seen Thuram and Asher training again the other day, which was bit of a surprise. I'd love for him to come back and do well, but I just worry for him. So many injuries. Luke Shaw, chronically injured. Unfortunately, when he's fit, one of the best left backs about. And you do wonder what his career would have been without that leg break. But unfortunately, it happened, and unfortunately, it's affected Man United, and we need a left back.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm glad we didn't go for Ben Chilwell. We were linked with him, and I was worried. It was like, why are you getting basically a replica of Luke Shaw?
But not as good at football.
Not as good, but just always injured as well.
Link that one.
I like Matic de Ligt's my favourite signing of the window.
I agree.
Especially at the price that we got him at. I think that could prove to be one of the bargains of the window. Lenny Yoro was an interesting one as well, because he looked set for Real Madrid. And to get him and to not kind of... I don't think we went overboard with wages. I don't think we went overboard with the eventual fee. To bring him in, I think is a proper coup. And especially when you look... Like, we haven't had him play yet.
No.
Like, we saw glimpses of him, and I thought he looked... It's only pre-season, I know, but in the glimpses we've seen of him, he looked good. Joshua Zirkzee, again, I didn't have much expectations of him, given that I hadn't watched a whole huge amount of him. I liked what I saw of the clips of him. He looked like he had good link-up play.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I did notice when he did play against Fulham was that he's not going to occupy that box much until it's later in the attack. He's going to arrive late into the box, which is a good thing, but also... Do we need to pen centre-backs back at times? Will that mean that Bruno is often running into that false nine? Will you play him with Rasmus Højlund as well? I was excited by the links of Ivan Toney. I've wanted him for a long time, but then I did start to think, like, if you bring him in, something's going to happen with those, like one of those two maybe. They're not going to get enough football and stuff. I do think the window has been really good. And Nazar Mazraoui, what a bargain.
Yeah. He's come in and just looked like... He's been playing right back for 5 years. You know,
Yeah.
like I don't even think about him. I'm not worried. Like he does stuff. He's sort of got a bit of a De Ligt kind of body style to him, where he'll sort of shuffle the ball between his feet a little bit, and he's sort of taller than you think he is. But he's so smooth, and the way he controls the ball and his decision making. He's just been sort of faultless so far, Mazraoui. I think this window is exceptional from United.
The transfer that disappointed me a bit in terms of exit. Look, I understand it. I wouldn't have done anything different. Especially when you look at the fee eventually got for him. But Hannibal's one where I look at him. I remember watching him in the Mercedes-Benz Junior Cup, and he just stood out above every player of his age. And we signed him for big money at the time from Monaco. I'm a bit disappointed with that one.
Disappointed that...
Like, it hasn't gone to plan.
Yeah, me too.
He hasn't... And I think he's quite good. Like, I don't think it's been particularly because he's been bad. Just never think he's really got a run. Maybe he picked up some silly yellow cards at times.
Yeah. Do you remember last season, Maka, against Brighton, I think, when he came on and scored, and Ericsson, I was saying, like, he's like the future of the club almost. He said something, I can't remember exact words, but it was like, he's the type of player that this club is about. And he's, you know, and then he played, I think it was against Burnley, did very well. But then you're right, I think he got a yellow card if it was either against Newcastle in the Carabao or Galatasaray, one of the others, in the first half, early doors, and I think he got hooked at half time. And I think that was like the straw that broke the camel's back in the manager's mind with him. I thought, I can't rely on this kid, he's too erratic.
The thing with Hannibal, for me, unfortunately, is, and I said a similar thing about McTominay, but obviously the very different style of player, but I don't know who he can replace in the lineup. He can't do Casemiro's job. He can't do Bruno's job. Maybe you could bring him in for Mainu to like bring him through, but I don't think he's got the sort of passing or composure of a Mainu. He's a high energy player who's more slightly like of a more sort of forward kind of thinking player.
I think it would be Mainu's role.
Do you think
because he's good on receiving the ball on the turn?
Yeah,
those are things he's good at. He's a bit combative as well.
Yeah.
And his passing is quite good.
It's all right, yeah.
I mean, the majority of times I've seen it is for the academy, but. You know what I mean? It's a shame.
Yeah. It's a shame.
I get your point. It is a shame.
But I think personally, we talked about this yesterday a little bit, but the ability to bring money, like at the start of the window, people were talking about 150 million, 200 million in sales, and everyone laughed at it. And if we manage to get Jadon Sancho on like an obligation to buy for, let's say, 30, 40 million euros, you're looking at 160, 170 million euros worth of sales there. That's like 150 million quid-ish of sales, which is by far and away the most United have ever brought in a window. And if you went through last season's squad, other than selling like Bruno, Rashford, maybe Mainu, I couldn't imagine a world where we're getting 150 million euros for that squad. And all players who aren't first name on the team sheet by any means. Like I think they've done a very good job of getting players out for cash, even if the cash isn't huge. it adds up. Like, all of those players are, some of them are reserves, some of them haven't played in years, some of them are sort of backups. Like, I think it's a fantastic job in selling players that they've done.
Yeah, you needed a bit of an overall. You can't finish 8th and just think more of the same. No. You need to do something a bit big in the window, don't you, after the season? We just had another one in the FA Cup. So, yes, there's one or two, like I said, like I get Macca's point about Hannibal. I like Wan-Bissaka. It's a shame it didn't work out with Facundo Palestra. I think he's a good kid. But I get it. I get all of it.
It's what we would have done in the past as well. You see with like Willy Kambala, Hannibal, Palistri, maybe even Wan-Bissaka, we would have held on just thinking, but there's a player there, but there's a player. And it's like, you have to be ruthless at some point and you have to go like, they haven't shown it yet, we have to move on. And obviously with younger players, you have to give them a bit more time. But, I'm talking about Hannibal, he's 21 now. Yeah. That's not old, but we should have seen a little bit more maybe. Do you know what I mean?
So
even like the McTominay thing, like even that shows a little bit of different thinking because he's just had his best season.
Yeah.
In the past, it would have been, here's a new contract for 250k a week on a 5-year. That would have been what Woodward would have done.
Yeah.
100%. And now we're going, actually, we can get decent money for him because he's just had a good season. And is he going to start for us? No. And we can use that money to buy a player that will. Makes sense, even if you like Scott McTominay.
I think there needs to be a real deep dive into what the fuck happened with Donny van der Beek since he arrived to now.
Sad, innit?
What has transpired? It's not just football. It can't be just football.
No.
How do you lose 40 million worth of value on a player?
Don't know. Yeah, selling him for around 500k. I think it can go up to 7 or 8 million.
But
yeah.
Maybe you've even agreed that deal.
Yeah,
maybe those injuries just caught with him. He had a lot of injuries, didn't he?
Is it injuries?
He did, but he didn't have that many more than Shaw or Martial.
Well, he was out I know, but some players injuries, and also he went to Everton. He got injured for half his time there. He had all these injuries when Ollie was manager. Then Eric Ten Hag comes in. I think me and you sat together for the Bournemouth game, and he gets another injury that's out for the season. So he's had injuries at seminal moments. Like the time he went to Everton, if he stays fit, I think they go for him because I spoke to Evertonians who liked him. But then he misses half the games for injury.
And it's the last half as well. Yeah.
So they're like, well, we can't rely on him. He's, you know what I mean? He's injury prone. Then when his old manager comes in, you think, okay, and he gives him a chance, then he gets injured for the entire rest of the season.
Yeah.
And I just think that whether that's psychologically, whether it's physically, I think that has had a detrimental effect on his career. Yeah, 100%.
Another thing as well, Martial and Raphael Varane have both left the club, amounting to something in the region of £30 million a year. And
Brandon Williams was on a decent wedge, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think he signed a little deal, didn't he, after he played those games. But 30 million or so a year from Varane and Martial between them. That's like a year of, more than a year of any.
You did the maths, didn't you, with the Varane one?
Yeah.
The Varane one was like...
Because the way we bought... So for De Ligt, for example, who up until we signed Ugarte is our most expensive per season signing, not because of he was the most expensive fee, but fee plus wages is the highest overall number. Because you pay that fee over 5 years, a single year of De Ligt, which is his wages for the year and 1/5 of his transfer fee, is less than a single season of Varane. So we've got a 31-year-old out, brought a 25-year-old in, and we're paying less each year than we did before. Like, that's fantastic. Xerxes for a year cost less than Martial for a year, even including his 1 year of his transfer fee. So the deals they make sense, and we're actually saving money overall.
It shows you the different thinking as well, like you were just saying there earlier, because I swear a few years ago, after that FA Cup final, Amrabat would have been given a deal. Varane would have been given an extension.
He definitely would have been given a
extension. Like they would have done. Let's just give him all good deals, new deals.
Would have gone.
Yeah, they would have done that. Yeah. And a lot of the fans would go, okay, whatever, we just won the FA Cup. But obviously a lot more forward thinking at Ineos, what's going on there. And they've gone, look, get them off the wages, move them on, and we'll use that money we're saving to go and buy players who are going to be more long term. So I get it, and I think it's a good way of doing things, even if as an emotional fan sometimes you don't want it to happen with certain players.
We will go through and rank all of these teams at the end, but let's move on to what is just an absolute carnage car crash of a football team. Chelsea FC. Now, I don't know how long we've got to go through all these transfers, but I'm just going to rattle through them and we can focus on any ones you want to. So this is in descending order of transfer fee. So they brought Pedro Neto in for €60 million. They brought João Felix in for $52 million. Kiernan Dewsbury Hall for $35 million. Philip Jorgensen for $24 million. Amari Kellerman for $22 million. Mike Penders, didn't he used to be Mike Penders, didn't he used to be the vice president under Donald Trump?
Yeah, he was.
They brought him in
to kill him.
For €20 million. They bought Aaron Anselmino for €16 million. They bought Renato Vega for $14 million. Caleb Wiley for $10 million. Mark Gui for $6 million, not to be confused for Mark Gay. Mark Gui from Barcelona for $6 million. They've also got Tosin Adarabioyo on a free transfer as well from Fulham. And we're not mentioning many free transfers, but he was a sort of first team potential kind of centre back at Fulham, and United would maybe link with him as well. So that's the ins. Let's get to some of the outs as well. Let's just go through all of these. There's the ones we're not mentioning, like the loans. There's about 25 on each segment that we haven't even mentioned.
It's insane.
They've got Ian Maatsen out for 44 million. A 22-year-old left back, not young by the way. 44 million euros to Aston Villa. What in the FF fuck is going on with that? That is just the most blatant bullshit ever.
And they bought a Villa youngster, didn't they? Amari Kellerman.
There's a lot going on in there.
They've absolutely scammed the system. They sold Conor Gallagher to Atletico Madrid. Lewis Hall's gone to Newcastle. Again, a 19-year-old left-back who's barely ever played for 20 million quid. They've sold Amari Hutchinson. Sorry, not 20 million quid, 30 million quid. They've sold Amari Hutchinson to Ipswich for 23 million euros. Diego Moreira has gone to Strasbourg for 2 million. And Tino and Yorin has gone to Empoli for $1 million as well. A couple notable absentees or people leaving. Malang Sarr, Hakim Ziyech and Thiago Silva. He was starting a lot of games from last season even, so he's left as well. A massive window for Chelsea. They're doing that same thing again. You've
still got Raheem Sterling to leave.
Yeah.
You've still got a few others that will possibly be out on
They've spent around 200.
And they're probably going to bring in another striker.
Yeah. Whether that be a Tony or a Osimhen.
I was going to say they're still being linked with Osimhen.
So they spent 250 million quid and they've made 145 million.
The bizarre thing about their window is like making signings just to get rid of other players.
I know.
So like they ended up signing João Felix kind of just to get rid of Conor Gallagher. And I know they tried to spin that after because by saying we always wanted João Felix but Poch didn't want him, right?
Yeah.
It did, like the Conor Gallagher move was stalling, falling through. And eventually this move just happened. It didn't feel like a player that it wanted. He thrives best in Cole Palmer's position. It doesn't make sense.
And also,
they were going to end up getting Sancho.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to get rid of Sterling.
For FFP wise, obviously, you've got Conor Gallagher's wages, but you've also got the 45 million euros that they've got for him up front. So you can say we've earned 45 million this year, whereas João Felix, they've got that 50 million euro fee, split that over 6 years, you've got about 8 million plus, let's say, 10, 12 million in wages. That's 20 million. And you basically just made 30 million profit swapping Gallagher and Felix.
Yeah.
Which is just mad, isn't it? It's mad the way they're doing things. The whole club seems to be
there's like 3 windows now, isn't there? June the 30th, September, and then there's like 3 different windows at play now.
Oh, really? For
the June the 30th one's the PSR, where you got to get your PSR in order, innit? That's why you saw a lot of these teams making those deals early in the window. Amari Kellerman went to Chelsea, and then the other fella went the other way.
Yeah,
it's a mess. It is.
It is a mess.
And
what do you make of what the manager's now done there? Because Rory was having a go at it, like saying he's being disrespectful.
What does Rory think to this? Because
he was saying like the manager's being disrespectful to the players by just booting loads of them out and saying you're not welcome here, and he thinks they're doing a job for the board by kind of like he doesn't think a coach in his right mind would think I'll keep Mudryk and get rid of Sterling. He can't get his mind past that. Yeah. So what he thinks is that the manager's doing the stuff for the board to kind of like just do their bidding. Yeah. And he don't think that will play out well eventually, which if that's the case, then he's probably right. But I don't think that's the case. I think the manager's gone in there and gone, here's my 25 players, use like him. And to be fair, that's ruthless and it's a bit fucked up. But a manager has to go in and do that at some point.
We were saying this the other day. Well,
can't do anything
it looks
different.
A bit ruthless and maybe a bit hard-faced. That's probably what it needs, like you say, because you can't maintain a squad of, you can't have a squad of 40-odd players anyway. Plus, how does training work? What do you do around that? We heard all these stories, didn't we? The Athletic did a piece where you had players in the corridor and everything last season. It was just untenable. So I think he has to be a bit ruthless and go, look, this is my squad. This is how it's going to work. Yeah. I mean, some of the comments he's made about certain players do seem a little bit OTT, but it probably needs that.
You know what? Because Chelsea at the minute, it feels like a zoo where all of the locks are off the cages.
Yeah.
It's just like this type of personality, that type of personality. Everyone's just fighting, not fighting in terms of falling out, but you've got Sterling taking to social media. You've got too many people there. No one knows what they're doing. Who's in charge? Who's in control? He needs to establish some control at that club and be, this is my team. You lot, fuck off. Yeah. Because otherwise, he's going to be overawed by, well, I want to get some minutes today, boss. Can I be in the squad? Like, it's impossible. He has to set the boundaries. I'm going to operate with these 25 players like something like a normal football team. Everyone else, I'm sorry, there is no negotiating.
You have to get them out as well because you can't have them around the squad, but they know they're not involved. You know you don't want them. Then you've just got a bad smell hanging around, like maybe trying to get weed his way into the other players. So I think he has to do it. I don't think the business looks good on paper, but you look at their squad. I think it's a strong squad, and eventually, if a manager does get to grips with it, I think they've got a team there.
Yeah. The mad thing is, though, if you look at this window. Are they that much better off?
Know. I almost want to put Chelsea off to the side of this eventual. Like when we rank these, I cannot work out where to put Chelsea. I've got no idea how to review what they're doing.
Lukaku's going as well.
I've never seen anything like it. Did you see him arriving at Napoli? I love
the cameraman fell over.
I love it. I've got a soft spot for Lukaku.
Really?
Yeah, because I think he's one of the most disrespected players since I've been watching football.
But a lot of it's his own doing.
And I'm not saying it isn't, but people act like he is a shit centre forward, and he's one of the best centre forwards of his generation.
I would just
He's
never,
had ups and down seasons.
Ever forgive him for that Champions League final against City.
Well, yeah, I mean, he was shocking in that, but we're very much at our last kind of hope there. And if you're hoping for the striker of another team,
Italy, hasn't he?
He's played for all of them. He hasn't played for AC. He's played for Inter, Napoli, Juve. He's played for Chelsea. He's played for United. He's been a fantastic
Chelsea
striker.
United in England.
Yeah, I know. Wait,
England,
UK?
You made the same mistake that I did with Napoli last night.
You thought, he thought we were going to get Napoli
in the Carabao, and he told me that's not happening. He said we'd never play Napoli.
But I love seeing...
That could change now with this draw. And he pointed out that's not true.
I love seeing players arrive at clubs and the fans just being like mobbing them. I love that.
Talking about that draw, we got Barnsley, right?
Yeah.
Now, in my head...
This is knowledge, this. Go on.
We lost to them in the FA Cup 3-2.
Yeah,
right. And Peter Schmeichel fucked up in that game.
For the first time.
But I watched the goals back.
Yeah.
And in my head, Peter Schmeichel threw the ball in the back of one of their strikers. He turns around and scores.
Right.
But when I watched the highlights, that didn't happen in that game. So what game did that happen in? Because I'm sure it was against Barnsley.
Was it not the first leg then? Oh well, because they were in the Premier League for a season.
So maybe it was in the Premier League game. Because
then.
I couldn't find the highlights of it. Yeah. But I'm pretty sure it happened. And I always assumed it was in that cup game.
Because all I remember Leandri scoring a bit of a banger against us. Not Leandri, John Hendry. I'll get there in the end. John Hendry scoring a bit of a banger against us, and I think it was that replay. Because you've just watched the goals.
Yeah.
Did John Hendry score the first goal for them at Oakwell? Was it a bit of a banger?
I can't remember. The first goal came from kind of like a mistake, and he fires it into the side of the net.
Right. Okay.
Like kind of goes in that way. The second one's from a free kick into the box and a header.
No, it's not that.
And the third one, kind of, Schmeichel slips in like a scramble in the box.
I just remember John Hendry celebrating.
There's a goal where he throws the ball out from a throw-in. Remember what he used to do?
Put it in the comments if you're watching.
And it hits the back of someone's head.
Against United, and when did Schmeichel throw the ball at the back of someone and they score?
It might be Barnsley in the league, but all I remember from the Barnsley game is John Hendry scoring and sort of celebrating like, and everyone running to the Barnsley players running to him.
Yeah.
Because I remember that game as well, like the replay where we thought, we'll be all right. We drew the first game, but we'll be all right. And I think he played like Ben Foley and Chucky played one of his like.
Nevlin played up front in the replay.
It was a bit of a mix of like the first team and players that don't really play, but you thought, we'll be okay. And then we weren't, and we got knocked out.
John Henry scored the goal on 9 minutes.
Right. I remember
Teddy Sheringham and Andy Cole scored our goals.
Best of mates. Bezzies.
Right, let's move on to
the team
Arsenal
that day for United.
Spurs. Oh, fucking hell.
Go on. This matters.
I can't find... Oh, there, I've got it.
Right.
Peter Schmeichel.
Hey.
Cleggy.
Hey.
Oh, Steve's mate.
Gary Pally.
You.
Pallister.
Pally.
Maisie.
Okay, no.
Neverly.
No wonder we lost.
Neverly, not to be confused with Neverly.
Neverly. Another Neverly.
Yeah. Oh, the Neveleys.
Thornley. Lee.
Oh, I love Ben
The Neverly brothers.
Yeah, nice.
Beckhamy.
Hey.
Nevland Lee.
Oh.
Not to be confused with Neverly.
McClary.
Yeah.
Mate.
And Coley.
Hey.
Yeah, lovely.
It's a great team, that. Didn't Dennis Irwin come on for Chocker?
Yes, on the 49th minute. Oh, mate.
Memory of that, innit?
Fucking
If
good.
memory serves.
That's good, that.
Do you know what the weird thing is? I can remember.
Can you
stuff
name-
like that. I can't tell you what I had for tea last night.
The three subs
Struggling to remember the name of my
were
kids.
Dennis Irwin,
Yeah.
Teddy Sheringham, and...
Oh, no.
Jonathan Greening.
No, close, but no cigar. We'll speed through this after, don't worry.
Yeah, do that. Let's rush the good
Go
bit.
on. Go on.
And stay on
Michael
this.
Twist.
Michael Twist, right? Do
It
you know
was
when I
right
was
on the
a
end of your
kid?
tongue, that, wasn't it?
Right, Steve brought him up once.
Tongue twister.
When I was a kid, my mate Adam Woods, his brother had a mate who played for United.
Fucking hell!
Right.
How many degrees of separation
Yeah.
was that?
And his mate,
He's like, stop.
his mate was Michael Twist.
Say that again.
Fuck
off.
When I was at school, my mate Adam Woods, right, who lived in
Adam
Salford,
mate.
right?
So Jay's mate,
Adam
right,
Woods, right? His brother, Danny,
His brother
had a
Danny.
mate who played at
had
United.
a mate who played at United.
And that mate was
And that
Michael
mate-
Twist.
So Jay's mate's brother's mate.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and you say, oh, our kid's mates at United. And I remember once he was in the United magazine, I was like, that's Adam Woods, his brother's mate. And it was Michael Twist.
Woodsy.
Woodsy. He moved to Australia. Good lad, Woodsy. He's a blue though.
Let's
Anyway,
get to
I
Tottenham's.
digress.
Neverly.
Neverly.
This is what the care home's going to be like when you two are in it, you know.
And it won't be that far away.
It'll be class, that.
And instead you're just talking about when United lost to Barnsley. in
Shaking each other's
1997.
hands. 'cause
Well,
we
they
remember
set up
the
like
subs.
a live stream room for us.
You know, it'd be one of those old tellies on the trolley that you had at school.
We'll watch the game against York City where we got beat. Go on.
Let's move on to Tottenham's window then. It's a weird one for them as well. They've got Archie Gray, who's an 18-year-old centre mid from Leeds for 41 million euros, which is a lot of money. They've also got Dominic Solanke for 65 million. That's been their sort of statement sign of the window, obviously
That
replacing.
Bergvall looks like a good signing.
Yeah, they've got Wilson Odobert as well and Lucas Bergvall as well for 29 and 10 million respectively, and Min Hyuk Yang as well from Gongwan FC for 4 million.
Fun fact.
Go on.
At the end of the season, Dominic Solanke will look like one of the worst signings Spurs have ever made.
Wow. What are you saying, like 6 Premier League goals?
If he's lucky.
Really?
I don't think he's I know Spurs aren't the biggest of teams. I just don't think he's a big team player.
Where's he been at? He's been at the Scousers, hasn't he? Was it Chelsea, the Scousers?
Yeah.
Bournemouth?
Bournemouth's where he found his feet.
Yeah. And
He scored against us last season, didn't he?
Oh, God.
Yeah, bloody hell. I get that. I get people are already getting carried away. Like, oh, yeah, Solanke, great signing. Oh, slow
If we
down.
spent 60 million on him, I'd be fuming.
Yeah.
You know, if we spent 60 million on Dominic Solanke, 60 million.
He was a real sort of fantasy football darling as well. A lot of people thinking he's going to sort of outperform.
I
what
can,
people
I can,
think
I
of
can
him.
see your point there. I think it's a weird transfer window for that with Spurs, isn't it? Because
It's bizarre.
100
people
million
forget-
on Archie Gray and Dominic Solanke.
Let's get to the outs as
They-
well
they
before
fell
we
off.
sort
Weed on that.
of assess
no,
everything.
you never hear the end of it.
So in terms of outs, Oliver Skipp's gone to Leicester for 23 million euros. Emerson Royale has gone to AC Milan for 15. How have they got 50 million for him?
How have they got 11 for Joe Rodon?
Joe Rodon's gone to Leeds for 11 million. Well, do you know why?
Do you remember when he was linked to us?
I do actually.
Joe
When he
Rodon.
was at
When
Cardiff,
we had
was it?
Ollie, was it?
Yeah. Joe Rodon, the reason why he's gone to Leeds for 11 million is because they've just bought, is it Archie Gray for
Nothing to
45
see, yeah.
million. We'll
All
offset
above-
that
all
with a
above
player
board.
who's not any good and you can have him and we'll pay you more for yours. Brought 50 million in terms of deals, obviously.
Skip, 25
Ndombele,
million.
Tanganga, Dyer and Ryan Sessegnon, Perisic have all gone as well, and Højbjerg. So they've got rid of a few sort of first-team squad players. But yeah, if you go back up to their
We were linked-
Scarlett,
we were
remember he was supposed to be the
We were linked with a lot of those players
Solanke
over the years.
and Gray,
Perisic we were linked with. Højbjerg last season we were linked with.
Yeah.
A few seasons ago, Ndombele's name was being moved
Rodon.
about. Sessegnon we've been linked with.
Sessegnon.
Rodon.
It's
Eric Dyer.
Eric Dyer. Do you remember?
What do you make of their window, Adam? 150 million euros they've spent.
I think it's a shocking one.
I love that.
I think the more I look at this is going on. If these like were a big club, we'd be going, what the fuck are they doing down there? 100 million!
I know.
Oh, no, they better hope Archie Gray's worth 100 million in a few years, because that's the only way they get the money back.
That is when you look at that I wrote down, it does look
And
kind
then
of.
100 million for
Archie Gray
and
made his
Solanke.
debut, come on the pitch, and basically had a front row seat to JB Vardy winding up his whole team and fan base.
They were
That's
so
crazy.
bad in that first half, Leicester.
I
I slightly disagree on Solanke. I don't think he's going to be worth 65 million, but I think he'll come in and get goals. I can see a sort of 12 to 15 Premier League goals from him. They create a lot of chances, and they only had Son putting him in last year. I think that he'll do a decent number for them. I don't think he's worth 65 million, but they're all over the
Isn't
place.
it
By
one of-
Christmas, Son starting every game up top.
Really? Possible.
And Dominic Solanke's looking sad on the bench.
He's had like one really good season and in the Prem.
Yeah.
And
It's not a lot.
He goes back to Bournemouth for 20 million next summer.
It feels a bit
Next
like...
summer, straight back.
It does feel a bit like he got a purple patch. They've gone in there off that. And it could be a big mistake.
Mate, you could have got Ivan Toney for that much.
I know.
Yeah, that's true. But he's a couple of years younger than Tony. I don't know if that plays
Yeah,
into
but a couple of years, what? You have to replace him in one with Ivan Toney.
Marvin. Let's move on to Arsenal.
Tony.
I mean, as I'm going through this, I sort of knew a lot of these anyway, obviously, because we follow football and that, but everyone's had a shit window compared to United. I don't know if, let's...
Shows you how much work we have to do.
No, that's the thing.
It does.
That's the disappointing thing. Looks great.
Some people are so far behind in the race, they actually think they're winning, Jay.
Arsenal FC then. Riccardo Calafiori for 45 million euros from Bologna. Mikel Merino for 32 million from Sociedad. They got David Raya in officially, but obviously he was already there anyway. So it's Merino and Calafiori, basically, for them. In terms of outgoings, the main one is Smith Rowe to Fulham. I mean, everyone else is kind of, sort of neither here nor there. Again, a relatively sort of tight window. I think, other than Ray, I'm taking that fee off because he was already playing for him. You're looking at around 75 million euros spent. It's a top up a good team kind of window.
It's context again. Like, that window isn't amazing, but they've got a good team anyway. But the thing is, I think they needed to do more to catch City.
Yeah,
I think they needed to go out and get someone who can get them 20 goals a season, and they haven't done that. They haven't even tried to do that.
Also, you look at it, they've brought in Mikel Merino to play in midfield, where they wanted Kai Havertz to play, but now Kai Havertz is playing up front because they don't think Havertz is good enough to play in midfield, but they don't think Jesus is good enough to play up front. And I think Havertz is doing well for them, but they had to reposition things. I think they've got the wrong player from Sociedad if they were looking at one of those midfielders there. Zubimendi was the one. Yeah. Mikel Merino could be a good signing, but it's a bit of a...
I think Arsenal have done enough.
Calafiori's good.
To finish second again. I could see them finishing second again, but is that their ambition? Yeah. I don't think they've done enough to finish top. I don't think they'll finish top.
I think, obviously, this is outside of the window, but I think the one thing you would say about Arsenal in terms of improving is almost everyone in their squad, theoretically, is at an age where every year they should be getting better. So should get a better Saka and Saliba and Rice,
Martinelli and players like that.
Yeah. The whole squad is very young mostly.
But also, we didn't mention,
have to improve.
Eddie Nketiah, is he not gone?
Yeah, it's not official yet, but he's going. I think we're not sure where he's going actually. But
looks like Palace.
Yeah, looks like
Palace. He's moved to Bournemouth
for about 30 million quid.
Yeah,
somewhere in that region.
I mean, he did play some games for him. He did score some goals for him. So I just feel like
against us, didn't he?
Yeah, that's what I mean. I just feel like I know I'm not a big Eddie Nketiah fan. My point is, I just feel like they are lacking a goal scorer. That for me would have been the priority. I'd have thought that'd have been.
If I was them, I'd have done my bollocks on Ivan Toney.
Yeah,
you would have got. If you were anyone, you'd have got Ivan Toney.
Yeah,
I don't get why.
I think this is a poor window for them. But like you said,
I don't think it is.
Why?
They don't need a huge amount.
They need a goal scorer. That's the thing they've needed for 2 years.
Do you still see them? Let's see if we disagree. Do you see them winning the league?
No, but I didn't see him winning the league anyway.
If
they could have signed Ivan Toney, I wouldn't see him winning the league.
If they signed Osimhen or Toney, would you have thought they'd have a better chance?
I think Osimhen is something's not... I don't think he's the player everyone thinks he is.
I completely agree with you.
Really?
I think he could come to England and just look slow and shit. I don't mean slow, he's quick. I just mean like not up to speed. He's a little bit clunky for Serie A. You put him in England when the defense.
He'd be like the Chris Smalling of forwards.
Yeah, I wouldn't spend a shit on Osimhen now. But I mean,
Ivan Toney's the one. He's better than Osimhen.
Let's move on to Aston Villa then, because we need to get these bad boys ranked. Aston Villa, a bigger window. They've gone pretty massive actually. 60 million euros on Amadou Onana from Everton. That's been their big signing. But then they've also got Maatsen from Chelsea, which again. Is that what's going on there then? Is that a bit of corruption? A FFP workaround?
Wasn't Alex Moreno supposed to be the guy? And then he's gone away now to Forest.
Cameron Archer from Sheffield United, Jadon Philogene from Hull, Samuel Ilin Jr. as well from Juve for 14 million, Lewis Dobbin for 11, Enzo Baranecchia from Juve for 8, and Ross Barkley
Dobbin
for 5.
Dobbin and Maatsen were those PSR deals, isn't it?
Yeah, they were.
Little cheeky little.
So who knows whether who knows if they've even been brought in to start or play? It's hard to assess that because Ian Maatson wasn't really playing for Chelsea last year. He's not that young at 22, and he's gone for 44 million euros.
I feel like they've kind of cut the cloth accordingly, Villa.
Cut their cock what?
Cut the cocks accordingly. Cut their cloth accordingly.
Cut their cock into an accordion.
Yeah, because they can't go and spend like huge amounts of money on loads of players. They've got one big signing in Onana who's Premier League proven, did all right at Everton.
Yeah.
A few United fans wanted him, I didn't, to be honest with you. But Ian Maatson, don't know a lot about him. It just feels like a bit of a...
Still going.
Cut me cock into an accordion.
He's put his cock in an accordion. Let's have a look at their sales as well, then.
The big sale for me is Moussa Diaby.
Yeah.
You know, they're going to miss that motherfucker, I swear to God. They're going to miss him off the bench.
Isn't it mad, right?
He's good, him.
Douglas Luiz and Moussa Diaby were meant to be like the future of Aston Villa last season. They've both just gone. I mean, in fairness,
They got rid of Douglas Luiz and his missus. It's the first time a club's ever got rid of a player and his missus in one window.
What do you mean?
Really?
What was
His
it?
missus plays for Villa.
Oh, really?
Played for Villa.
Oh, I
and they
didn't know
both
that.
moved to Juventus. What's her face? She was that one that asked Speed for a watch looking like a massive beg on stream.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that.
And Speed didn't know.
Has that ever happened before? I can't imagine it has happened before.
It's not wife. Alicia Lehman.
Oh,
She's
okay.
Jens Lehman's daughter, actually.
Is it?
Really?
Yeah.
Hey, you got some knowledge.
That's
you
a
son.
lie, that. She's not Jens Lehman's daughter.
Is she not?
So let's
Fun
go,
fact.
Really?
Let's get
Because I fully believe that.
Let's
In my
get
head, she
through
is.
the rest of their sales then. Douglas Luiz, Moussa Diaby, 110 million euros for the two, so it's good money, but you're losing, a 25 and a 26-year-old. Cameron Archer's gone to Southampton for 17 million. Tim Irogbaum has gone
I'm
to...
glad you're
Looks like a
reading his
flower.
names.
That name is there's a defo of flower name
Yeah,
in
it does.
Rollbinham or something like that.
He's gone to Everton for 10 million. And Morgan Sanson for 4 million. Vijalmi
Who's in Karate Kid with him?
Sinasalo has gone to
Santon.
Celtic. Coutinho's gone on loan, etc., etc. But they're the big boys. Obviously Moreno, like you mentioned before, as well. So they've made it about 150 million euros in sales, which is good. But then to do that, they've lost. Diaby didn't start every week, but Douglas Luiz was pretty regular, wasn't
Yeah,
he? It's a bit of a shift there at Villa. They're going for it.
Yeah, it's a bit of a strange one, but you get what they're doing. I can understand it, and it kind of makes sense for them as well. It'll be interesting to see what happens with them, because obviously Emery's a good manager.
I think they get top four again.
Do you
Dougie
reckon?
Luiz had to get sold because of PSR, innit? That was a
But then
PSR.
surely they got worse then.
No,
You think
because they
they've got
brought
better?
Onana in. I think Onana's a good signing.
I think he's decent.
I think
I want to see what Ollie Watkins does this season, you know.
they're going to miss Diaby. That's why
want to
I
see if
was
he can
Villa.
carry on doing what he's been doing.
Well, he fucked it against
I
Arsenal.
know he
Isn't
did,
he a
that's what I
fucking
mean.
idiot?
Yeah, that
fuck
was a
wrong with
bad
him.
miss, that.
How many chances you going to miss?
That one was basically an open goal almost.
Two of them he missed.
Yeah, didn't even hit the time.
Yeah, if you don't get the numbers of last season, they're not getting
That's
top
what I mean.
four. I don't think they'll get top four this
I
season.
think they get top four.
I think
Even
it's-
with Champions League football.
Yep.
they've got, but they've gone from being like not just mid-table, but sort of any given season could be like we're watching relegation.
No, not with Emery.
No, but they've gone from that to like one of the best teams in the league. I can't see it lasting.
Because it's the
what
new
would be
owners.
2.5
They've got
full
wealthy
years.
owners, bro.
I know,
Also
but
as
they
well,
spent
don't
shitloads before
forget-
that and wasted it. They got Coutinho.
Yeah, because
in. They've got-
Gerrard was
Gerrard,
there.
exactly. They had
not
the
saying
shittest manager
they don't
ever.
deserve to get better or that they won't stay better than they have been. I just think they'll really, really struggle to
They
get top
definitely
four
get
back-to-back.
UEFA Europa League at least, but they're going to be Champions League football next year.
Let's see.
Unfortunately for us.
And finally, then, let's have a look at Newcastle's.
Why are we doing these?
Because they finished above United last season. You may not want to admit that. We finished 8th, they finished 7th. So they are a rival to Manchester United. They also finished Champions League the season before that.
Don't say they're a rival. You're going to get all their fans
I don't mean
giddy.
they're a rival team.
They
I mean,
mean
they are a league
whipping
rival.
their tea tails around.
Is that John Ruddy? Isn't he like my age? What the fuck is going on? That is him, innit? The keeper.
It's just...
What? Have they signed fucking Peter Schmeichel? Why have they bought John Ruddy? What the fuck's that? Mate, I remember him about fucking 15 years ago.
Over to Ethan, our Newcastle
Yeah, why have you
correspondent.
bought John Ruddy, Eve? What's going on there, son?
Wait till you see this one.
Mate.
All right, everyone gets one go at his name. Go.
I've got it. So they signed Lewis Hall for 33 million euros.
Not Lewis
They
Hall.
signed Odysseus...
Oh, I fucked it.
Right.
Go on, Jake. No,
I wanna go.
You get one attempt.
I know it as well.
Vlachodimos.
Rubbish.
Oh, but you didn't say the first bit.
All right, Odysseus Vlachodimos.
It's not bad.
Go and say it how you wanted to say it, Joe.
Odysseus Vlachodimos. That's how I've
He
put
said
it.
a bit more Greek.
Yeah, he did.
I put a little Greek on it.
Yeah, I mean,
They've signed him
swang on
for
it.
23 million euros. He's a 30-year-old goalkeeper from Forest, and he's cost them.
You spent 25 million on this geezer that could walk in the studio and we wouldn't know who he is.
Right.
He was
So
class at Forest.
So hang on a minute.
No, he's third choice at Forest. It's an FFP.
They've bought one goalkeeper already.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, they've gone out and got a fucking 40-year-old John Ruddy.
But look what they've done. So they've spent 25 million euros on Vlachodimos from Forest, who was their third choice. And they've sold Forest, Elliot Anderson, the 21-year-old central midfielder, for 41 million euros. They've also sold Yakuba Minte, which I think wasn't as much of an FFP thing. That was a promising young player that has gone to Brighton and looked pretty good.
How come you sold him?
FFP. The shit in it, FFP-wise.
And then he goes and tears it up at Brighton.
Well, because Tonali's gambled all the cash. They can't get no money anymore. They went to look in there, like, what's happened? And why is the company card on his phone? He's fucked it.
Why does it say Bet365 on the back statement?
That was Dan Ashworth's parting gift to him on it at Tonali.
You know what's
Have
funny?
a bit of that, lads. See you later. I'm off to United.
The other night on Twitter, I saw Newcastle fans moaning with pictures of what's that geezer they brought in from Monaco.
Paul Mitchell
And Grant and that. And they were moaning about him. But do you remember about 2 months ago when they replaced Dan Ashworth with him and they were like, United paid us 10 million to get an upgrade and all that. Where's your upgrade, dicks? And also, you never got 10 million, you got 3.
To be fair though, right, I'll give Newcastle credit. I don't think Dan Ashworth could have got the John Ruddy deal done. I think that's an absolute Paul Mitchell masterclass.
John Ruddy on a free transfer.
Do you know what I mean? You don't just get John Ruddy by picking up the phone. You've got to have connections there. So fair play to him.
So they spent 68 million euros, and let's be honest with ourselves, 23 million of that is joke money. They've also brought in 76 million, and once again 41 million of that is joke money. So it's been a pretty quiet deal really. They've got a decent young left back in, and essentially that's it. They've got a young striker from Sheffield United, which obviously could go either way. Just Ethan, obviously we don't know these players as well as you, especially the ones who have left. What have you made of Newcastle's window so far? 2 out of 10, he says. Okay, so we'll bear that in mind when we're ranking them. So let's go through all of these then. So Liverpool, City, United, Chelsea, Spurs, Arsenal, Villa and Newcastle. Who do we think has had the worst window out of the whole lot?
I'd probably say, all things considered, the Scousers.
Do you think?
In terms of a window. Because at the moment they haven't got Chaser in, and even if they get him in, he's injured anyway all the time. You've convinced me he's not very good. They've got a goalkeeper who's not going to play for them. He's going to be loaned back to Valencia, and they haven't done out else.
You say that. I don't know what to do with Chelsea, but I think Newcastle's is worse.
But they've got John Ruddy.
I know you got this. You're hung up on this whole John Ruddy thing, Jay. I think Newcastle's and Liverpool's are both shocking, but I think Newcastle.
I think that Newcastle though have all right, fair enough.
What do you reckon, Adam?
I think having a new manager and not really backing him is a weird one.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'd not thought about that. That's a good point. Because Newcastle have they know what they've got and they're trying to work.
I get why Liverpool have done it, and like I said, they bought a lot of players the last window. But I just mean for this window, what they've done is nothing.
Also, we have to take into consideration what they have. So with that being said, Newcastle have had the worst window.
And Newcastle have been forced to sell a young up-and-coming player in Minton.
Also, if you're going to take into consideration what they have, then obviously
Alexander Isaac. So do you give them credit for keeping hold of them?
Potentially. I think. Personally, I think Newcastle's is the worst.
Okay. If you're going to take into consideration what they've got, then you've got it. I was just looking at it purely from the window point of view, and I don't think Liverpool have done anything of note. Well,
I don't think Newcastle have made it.
But the context of the team has to be taken into consideration.
They've brought some players in who are going to play for them.
Yeah.
I don't even think Liverpool have done that, have they? Maybe
I think Newcastle and then followed by Liverpool.
So let's do Newcastle at the bottom, then Liverpool. I would next like to make the case for Chelsea. Not because I think every player they've signed is bad, but I think it's just a car crash transfer policy that they've got there.
Tottenham.
Do you think? I'm with Maka. I go Spurs. I'm not as enamoured of the Solanke signing as others are.
Okay.
That's a shit signing.
And I think that's your marquee signing. I know the other ones are a bit underwhelming. Yeah, I get your point.
Yeah.
But I'd probably go Spurs next.
Okay.
I would have phoned Bournemouth and said, how much you want Solanke? And they would have said 60 million. And I'm like,
yeah.
See ya. Call
us back when you're not being stupid.
Yeah, it is a lot of money. Okay, so let's put Tottenham in there then. Any volunteers for next? I think we've got to be looking towards Villa and Arsenal next. I think. If it's not Chelsea. 'cause
Arsenal
I think-
brought in Calafiori, and I think
could it
based
not
on
be
what
Chelsea?
they...
If you wanted Chelsea below Spurs.
Just because the thing is, Chelsea's got a better chance of working out than like Arsenal's or whatever because they've not really done anything.
But Arsenal have brought in Calafiori, which I think gives them something they need defensively. I think last season they struggled down that side in Europe, and I think he helps them out there.
Yeah, and also
I
a
don't
bit
think
of
Arsenal have
rotation.
been too bad.
And also, if you're going to take into consideration what they've got, then you have to take into consideration the fact that Arsenal have got probably the second best team in the country, and Chelsea have got, one of the.
Okay, should we go Chelsea next then?
Best or whatever.
They've got a lot of players that could work out, but the policy is so awful to be.
I think they've got a lot of players that can work out, but I don't think many of them have been bought this window.
Yeah,
I think they've been bought previously.
Yeah,
I think Lavia, Caicedo, all those will come good.
Yeah.
A lot of I don't think João Felix is a good signing. Actually, you know what? Chelsea might be ahead of Tottenham, as the worst.
I think they are. So it's your call.
Well, that's me
You said
outvoted
Tottenham.
then. I would have stuck with that. But if you
Go with Chelsea worse than Tottenham.
Okay.
Okay,
After that then.
that one.
What we're saying next.
Arsenal then, or
Left we've got Arsenal, Villa, City, and United. I'd be fighting for
I think Villa.
for City in this.
No.
I think Villa because you lost Douglas Luiz.
Yeah.
That has happened. Yes, Onana's a good signing. They should have replaced Diaby. I thought they might still go and do that, but I thought, maybe getting Sterling in could have been a good move for them.
Yeah.
Ross Barkley, I'm not too sure on that one.
No.
I would say Villa. Maybe they could have done a bit more, but because they rank below Arsenal, City and United doesn't mean they've had a bad window.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that personally. Let's go Villa next, just because they've not massively improved and they've lost a starting player. So yeah, let's do that. Aston Villa next up on the list. So remaining then, we've got City, United and Arsenal. And we have to work out, I think the number one is clear personally. I think next up is, I don't know, I think City. I don't think City have had a better window than Arsenal. I don't think City have got any better.
I disagree.
Really? Do you think City have got better than they were last season, their players?
I think...
Losing Alvarez and getting Savinho.
And Gundogan. I think that it's a bit 50-50, but look, we said we were taking into consideration the team they've got, which is what we did with Liverpool. Why are we not doing that with City then? Because look at the team City have got. And I think they've actually brought in...
But they've only got one striker.
But they can get away with that, City. They can.
Not if Haaland gets injured.
Like, they can play like Foden as a... They do. Pep loves that. I think Pep's a bit annoyed the fact that Haaland scores all these goals and they play that way. I think he'd actually love to go back to his sort of no striker days. So I think City have brought in Gundogan, who's a good signing, and the kid, Savinho, looks like a good signing as well. Yes, they've lost a decent player in Alvarez, but also, yes, they've lost a good player who's a backup, but he's still a backup. Like, if everyone's fit, he probably doesn't play for them.
No.
I'd rank Arsenal below City because, not based off what they've done, I both think they've done decent-ish business.
Yeah.
But based on what they could have done or should have done, I think Arsenal should have worked a bit harder this window.
That's a good point.
And also, as well, I get your point about Alvarez, but they've sold him for a massive amount of money.
Yeah.
For a player who's basically a backup.
And that'll probably
like
mean
80 or
they'll
90.
absolute splurge next summer.
Yeah, and that's your Adam
In
Morton
the
money.
Championship.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay, so next up then is Arsenal, and after that is Man City.
Yeah.
And I genuinely think, and I'm not just saying this, I think United have improved more than any other team in this list.
Yeah,
by
that's
an
not to say
absolute
like
mile.
people are going to go, oh, United are top of this, so yeah, surely you're going to win the league. That doesn't mean we're going to win. We're not.
Yeah,
No,
because
we're rated the
we
transfer
obviously
window.
we finished second last season,
But
didn't we?
we've made
So-
much more improvements than anyone else.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And even look at the players who got rid of.
Yeah, I think United have had a very, very good transfer.
we've had
window.
the-
I think we've had by far actually the best of these lot.
It's the one that makes the most sense in terms of what we needed and what we've done, and the players we didn't need, and when we've moved them on as well.
Yeah.
Because some of those windows clubs we've spoken about, it doesn't make a lot of sense in what they've done. Whereas with us, you can see what we're trying to do. Whether it works out or not, we'll have to wait and see.
Right.
But there's a logic there.
Last season, the centre back area was an absolute disaster for us.
Yeah, it was.
A complete and utter disaster. We've brought in two 25 or younger very good centre-backs. We've completely refreshed that centre-back area.
Yeah.
We didn't have any backup to Casemiro. It cost us. We've brought in another DM who is a backup or could potentially take the place of Casemiro. Whenever Højlund was injured, we had no strikers last season because Martial was always unfit. We've brought in another good striker. And like Wan-Bissaka didn't really fit the manager's system, so we've brought in another right-back. Like you said, we're a left-back away from basically plugging most of the gaps in the squad. Obviously, we need to improve the quality as well. But I think it's been a superb window from United and easily the best of those top 7 teams. Right, that's going to be all from us. United have had the best transfer window. Let us know who you think's had the best
real quiz.
window
That is the real quiz.
in the comments. And will that translate to the biggest jump in points and sort of placings for the season? We'll have to wait and see. Obviously, City can't go up anymore.
Well, we're going to win the league, so...
So
Yep.
Yeah.
7 places from 8th last season. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you once again to Green King Sport for sponsoring the show. Make sure you check them out. We'll see you in a bit.